It all depends on the intent of why you're telling people. Because I agree with you if the intent is, I want for some subtle form of self-aggrandizement. I want you to know that I'm a spiritual person, so I'm going to tell you I'm going to fast. I'm fasting for these reasons. And it diminishes the purity of it, the innocence of it in that way. But you could also say it in a way, and what we'll talk about when we get into like law of attraction type stuff, is really communicating with people where you know that the way it will be received is the way you're going to communicate it. Like especially with you have grand ideas and dreams, it's really important not to bounce them off people who are going to be pessimistic and negative about it, right? Because what you need in the beginning, in that fledgling stage of like this inception of a better way of living, of a dream that you've been going after, is you need that soil to be fertile and to be fostered with light and water and all the good nutrients and all the good environment that is going to help create it, versus all of a sudden I'm not going to tell someone who's, I've like a Debbie Downer friend, I'm not telling you my dreams, my hopes, my visions. But to your point, it all comes back to, why would I express that to them in the first place? There's a core reason why. And if I'm not clear with that, it can definitely diminish the purity of why you're doing it in the first place, particularly with fasting. Fasting it's always, for as long as like spirituality's been around, that's been part of it. And really, it's very simple. It's like when you take such a biological need of like food out of the equation, your frame of reference, how your mind like starts seeing the world, your perception completely changes. It's one of the reasons why back in the day, like if you were spiritual, you were celibate. There was no sex. Sex being one of those primal instinctual urges to procreate, to take that away, and you see the urges, the desires come up, and then in that is the fire of burning your spiritual self. Now, I have 2 kids, I've got a wife, I'm not celibate, I don't promote that at all. And I think it actually diminishes, just so we're on the same page, like, no, that's not happening.
I like food, I'm not, I'll do specific kind of fasts once in a while, but it's, so there's where Chris is going with, there's a balance to it all. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need to be celibate for a certain period of our lives, or end a relationship. We're like, okay, I need to get clear. Sometimes we need to fast for a little while. Because fasting. I mean, if you look at in evolution, why people feel the way they do when they fast is, if we were hunter gatherers and if I didn't eat for a little while, my ability to track, my ability to hone, my mind became so sharp and so focused. Because I needed to hunt, I needed to or gather or be able to get food. It changes our biology. It changes our focus. It changes our state of being dramatically. It all. But the bigger point is where Chris went. It all comes back down to the spiritual path encourages us to stop some of the primal physical urges that we have, because you see the impulse. Right? And if you can have impulse control, if I'm fasting and I see a chocolate cake sitting next to me and I'm like, no, I'm fasting, that's impulse comes up to say, I want a bite of that, but no, I'm fasting. There's a strengthening of our will that's so powerful. And we'll get into that in more depth with meditation. We talk about that. So
yeah, it's a way of reclaiming your power. It's a really simple way of saying it.